All right, so we are back with another film review here on Coach Cove's B-Ball Breakdowns. As always, I'm Coach Cove. Today we're going to be looking at two things we got to break down. We got to break down this San Diego State victory over Creighton. We're going to take a look at what they did defensively, how they were able to kind of overcome not being able to score a whole lot on the offensive end. And then we're also going to take a look at the Miami comeback versus Texas after we get done with this clip. So basically, San Diego State doesn't have a very good offense. They don't really shoot the three well. They're 274th out of 350 D1 teams in 3-point attempts per game. Just remember that stat. We're going to talk about it more a little bit later. But because they struggle on the offensive end a little bit more than other teams, they have a lot of action to get them open looks. So we'll see on this first initial couple plays here. It's a double handoff screen to the corner. And this time, Lamont Butler is able to get in the lane and get his pull-up jumper. I want you to also pay attention to Seiko down here, number 2. Anytime that the ball is handed off and dribbled to the left, this guy is I was told once, I forget where I heard this, but you should be able to pick one guy in the offensive end, and you can, based on what he's doing, you can read him and see. You should be able to tell what's happening on the ball. So if we pick Seiko down here, San Diego State's number 2 right here. If we just watch him, look, he's inching to the right as the ball is dribbled to the right. But as soon as the ball is handed off and now it's getting dribbled towards him to the left, he goes left with it. And you can see the same thing is also happening on the opposite side. If the ball is being dribbled to the left, we fill left on the wing. So good job here by San Diego State to fill and fill. And then, like I said, this is one of their set actions that it's a double screen out of the corner. It gets some looks towards the rim and it gets some looks in the middle of the paint here. Short midi jumpers and paint post touches are what San Diego State makes a living on. That is certainly their bread and butter. And we're going to see another example of that just a couple possessions later. The clock's going to read 12:20. And again, we see the same exact action happening here. We get the dribble handoff corner, and that time it goes to the dump pass. But I'm going to talk about Micah Parrish for a minute because I think he's going to be the X factor in this FAU game that San Diego State is going to be matched up for the Final Four. San Diego State, like I said, they love playing defense. They love getting looks close to the rim. And this game, it's all about taking good shots, like sort of passing up good shots to get great shots. And Micah Parrish, he was actually held scoreless in this game. I think that he played a big role for them in the conference tournament towards the end of their season. And I think that he's going to be a huge question mark going into the Final Four against the FAU team. San Diego State is also undersized, and so you can see Bradley this time coming left to fill. And with FAU again, I was saying I think Vladimir Golden for FAU is going to be a troublemaker down low for them because they are so undersized. The only guys they really have who play significant minutes that are over 6'9" are Justin Ledee and Mensa, who plays around 20 minutes per game. But just back to this real quick, what this little drift does, this dribble left and swing left, what it does is it forces this guy to make a play on the defender and it pulls him out of the lane, but it also gives us a chance to re-spot up for the shot. So those are basically the two things, the reasons why you drift as the ball is being dribbled towards you. It makes this guy have to make a decision, either help in and I'm open for the kick, or it brings him out of the lane and it keeps that a little bit more open for our offense to develop. So on this possession, we really see that San Diego State isn't going to give up anything easy. And I'm going to talk about how I think FAU is going to play to beat them in the Final Four game. I think that when San Diego State is staying in front of you like this, making you change possession, and having guys help off the ball to dig, we've seen it twice on that possession. We've seen a rope comes off first to help dig, and then it's from the corner. So this is what I'm talking about, and this is what I'm talking about. These guys have to make a cut. Kaluma and number 5 right here, Farabello, he does a good job to re-spot up at least, and you can see that what his movement does, Nemhard ends up taking the shot exactly where the help came from. So the help comes from here, and he cuts it off. But because Farabello re-spots up and makes a play and makes this defender have to guard him, Nemhard actually frees up the look right where this play was made at, pretty much. So what I'm talking about for FAU, what FAU needs to do when San Diego State, because they're going to play like this all night long. They're going to get in front of you, and they're going to stay in front of you, and they're going to have guys who are helping off to dig. But when that happens, like right here, Kluma needs to go back door, needs to refill up, needs to have something else going on to make this guy make a decision about what he's going to do, if he's going to play here or continue to help. And like I said, just to reiterate, Farabello does a decent job here, and it actually opens up that look for Nemhard. And just one more thing to add, the reason you kind of want to do that is you force, like I said, the defender to make a decision, but that can easily turn into just a late rotation and late help coming over. If you make that cut, then someone else has to guard the guy who's cutting, and they're just out of position at that point. So just San Diego State plays in like really good defense, and you have to do everything you can, especially off the ball, to try and find a weakness. So on this possession, we're actually going to see Creighton take a page out of the San Diego State playbook and run this same double sort of action here for Shireman and Kalkbrenner. But what we see that's important here is the timing from Shireman and the decision-making also from Shireman and the first initial guard here. So the timing here, I want to talk about Shireman's timing first. We get the entry into Kalkbrenner, and now it's back on the wing. But notice how Shireman still is pretty much standing right next to his defender, and now he's just now getting ready to go. So he has to wait until after that first pass is made, till he sees the eyes of both of the guys he's getting a screen for, to then get his separation. And then these guys don't even really have to bump. As long as they get in their way, it doesn't even really have to be a hard screen that makes contact. As long as they get in their way, Shireman's already got a step here. So now at this point, Kalkbrenner is going to be reading this man right here, Justin Ledee. And the ball is going to Shireman. So now, since Ledee is stepping up to try and help this, Kalkbrenner slips right to the rim. And now he makes Micah Parrish right here, he's forced to make a decision. Is he going to step in the lane, or is the three-pointer going to be left open? And that's how pretty much the play gets developed. First, good timing here from Shireman to wait until he sees both his screeners to get that separation. And then good decision-making here from both Kalkbrenner to slip and from Shireman to get the ball in quickly, not even give Parrish the time to get back in front, really. And it's just an easy lob there for Creighton. So FAU is going to have to do a lot of things sort of similar to that to get easy open looks. They're going to have to take a page out of the San Diego State playbook because that's how San Diego State kind of forces you to play. They really dominate their play, the way they want to play the game. That's how they go out and play the game. It's hard for a team to come in and beat you in their sort of own way. I would really love to see Miami play this San Diego State team. I'd like to see those two teams in the Natty, because I think the one-on-one play versus San Diego State sort of like jump out and attack and get the help and recover would be really interesting to see that sort of dynamic. With that being said, I think UConn is definitely the favorite to win it all, and FAU is a tough team, and it's going to come down to, I think, what Vlad Golden does inside against this smaller Aztec team. But so we get sort of the same. It's just creating a good look for Kalkbrenner, our best guy on the court, and FAU is going to need to do this a lot for Vlad Golden in the Final Four game. It's simple back screen and then an easy duck in. It's pretty easy there for Creighton on this one, but this is what San Diego State kind of leaves vulnerable because they are so undersized. When you get one-on-one down low in the block like that, it usually doesn't turn out well for this Aztec team. They like to play kind of, like I said, run and jump and more of a team-style defense. But simple plays like this and the previous one, the double screen and the cut for Kalkbrenner for the lob, and then this one as well, just a simple back screen, they should continue to get looks like this throughout. FAU should try and get looks similar to this to try and compete with the San Diego State team. So on this one, I actually took this Kenny Smith's words at the half. He kind of showed me this sort of action, and I was able to get this read. So right now, number 5, Lamont Butler, he's one of their best scorers in the Aztecs, for the Aztecs. He has this little midi sort of floater right over Kalkbrenner if he wants it. He gets his man beat. And right here, he can put up a little floater midi if he wanted to. But watch what he does instead. It's all about staying low and getting his shoulders squared to the hoop. Instead of taking that little midi right here, he gets Kalkbrenner off his feet. He uses the pump fake. He gets his shoulders squared, and he stays low. He stays on balance, and he goes up strong off 2 feet to the glass. You always want to go off 2 feet because it gives you a better shot to draw the foul. It gives you a better shot to get your shoulders squared to the rim, and you're just more on balance, and it's a higher quality look when you go off 2 feet that close to the rim. So, like I said, San Diego State, this game is all about passing up decent looks, good looks, open looks for great looks like this one. And the Aztecs come out on top because they're able to execute that more efficiently down the end. Although the Aztecs do not shoot the three-point well, 274th in attempts per game, they are top 175 in scoring. They average 71 points per game despite not really taking a whole lot of threes. And that's because they get close to 10 offensive rebounds per game. They're top 100 in that category. So moving into the second half, look, we get the same action here, the corner double screen. And this time it's all just about having, faith and confidence and trust in your teammate here. You can see Kalkbrenner is a little bit further extended than he was on the previous two looks that we saw in this example. And because of that, the lob is open. And like I said, this is all about Matt Bradley just having faith, confidence, and trust in his teammate Mensa to be able to go up and get this thing and jam it over Kalkbrenner like that. So I know this is kind of confusing to see, but I wanted to give you all three of those double handoff from the corner plays and show you the dynamics that happen on each of them. So this first one, it goes for the lob. That's the one we just looked at. But look how far Kalkbrenner is outside of the paint on this touch. So the handoff's already occurred, and now Kalkbrenner is basically foul line extended. Whereas in these two, or in this one, this is the pull-up that we saw from Butler on the first possession of the game. You can see Kalkbrenner is much less, he's not nearly as high up, and that's why Butler is able to take the pull-up. See that one right here? He's much less high up, and Butler's got space to take the pull-up that time. On this one, it's Colomo, 24 right here, and it's sort of similar. He's a little bit further high up than maybe Kalkbrenner was on the pull-up for Butler in the middle here. So the dime is delivered, and the bounce pass is in rhythm, and it's just enough time to get that one up. That one's kind of really in the middle. He might have the pull-up right here coming off, but that sort of extra little step right here is just enough, and great decision-making here from number 2 in White. So this is basically an example of why I think San Diego State's going to struggle, mostly against Golden down here. We got Ledee, number 13 in White, on Kalkbrenner, but it's just too easy of a dump. We're beat off the dribble here because a rope can't guard or I'm not sure if that's a rope or Mensa, but we get beat off the line, and FAU has guys who can do that too. We've seen them pretty much take lanes when they want in the tournament so far. They got guys on the wing who are going to get to the rim, and I just feel like once that happens, Aztecs are really undersized to do much against Vlad Golden, and it's going to be a lot of that. Because I feel like Golden is much more demanding, much more assertive, much stronger with the ball than Kalkbrenner. Even though Kalkbrenner is one of the apparently one of the top 5 guys in the tournament this year. A lot of people have him really high on the draft board next year. But I think Golden is going to be even more of a problem than Kalkbrenner was for the Aztecs because he's just a lot tougher. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot of that on Saturday in Houston. But the San Diego State team responds to adversity very well, and they play as a team. You can see they do get a lot of offensive rebounds, like I said, and they can get those kind of looks consistently. Then they're going to be in the game. So we saw a couple offensive rebounds on that trip. I just showing you guys what San Diego State does well. They do rebound the glass and hit the glass well. They fight for the loose ball, and they're not afraid of the moment. I can tell you that much. They're not scared of being in the Final Four. And neither is FAU, for that matter. Both those teams are going to come out and have a chip on their shoulder, have something to prove, being lower seeds, and I don't know. It's going to be a really interesting game, that one. But here, so we see San Diego State pretty much, we see them take control in the last 10 minutes because they get to their bread and butter, and they start working inside and working with Lamont and Butler mainly. So it's sort of another sort of look where, we just want to get good offense going because we're a bit limited on the offensive end of the court. We are a defensive-minded team, so we have a lot of sets to get good looks. And so we get the dribble handoff here. We'll see it again later in this possession, or later in this game, rather. They go for the same look, same dump inside. It's really, not well-spaced at all. It's kind of congested here. but it's the dribble handoff coming out of the corner for the first post player. And it really gets Kalkbrenner. The main thing it does is it gets Kalkbrenner out of the post here. It gets Kalkbrenner out of the post, and we actually go, that allows us to go to the opposite post and pretty much just take him out of the play. That's what we're trying to do. So it gets into Johnson, and he gets his shoulder square, takes the hoop and the hard. But like I said, San Diego State takes control basically because they start doing the things that they do well. You see him here getting out and running in transition just the next possession. After this, they're going to take they're going to get an offensive rebound putback on the next possession, which is where their bread and here it comes, offensive rebound. They get a putback. It's Keyshawn Johnson once again, scoring 5 of the last 7 for San Diego State down the stretch. And then just a couple plays later, a couple possessions later at 3:59 here, it's the dribble handoff and look in again. It's the same possession that we saw start this little run that they went on. Even though it is still a tie game, this little take back control of the game is how I kind of saw it. San Diego State was losing the majority of this one, but within these last 10 minutes, they're able to, I'll say it one more time, get back to their bread and butter and do what they do best. So we get the dribble handoff out of the corner again. Kalkbrenner is outside of the block, and we're going to the opposite side, taking him out of the play. But with that being said, Creighton doesn't really go away slowly, and I really love this play here. Let me just run it back. I'll play it through first, and then I'll see if I can break it down for you guys. It ends up being a lob again to Kalkbrenner here. And it's a really, obviously, good look here. But it's set up by Shireman here. Watch Shireman's timing on this little bump here. He gives a rope, or Mensa. So ball screen here, Kalkbrenner on Nemhard, and he gets his man beat. But Shireman, I missed it. Shireman, perfect timing here on this little bump. He goes underneath Mensa, knowing that Kalkbrenner is going to be rolling off of this. So what that actually does is it forces Mensa to be late to stopping this off, and then Butler isn't able to get back as quickly. So now we're a bit out of position, and there's just no one on the backside to help on Kalkbrenner. But it's because Shireman made that little nudge right here. It disrupts the defensive rotation, and Mensa isn't able to cut it off quickly enough. Butler isn't able to get back, and that's what frees up the look there. We'll look at it one more time. Just doing something a little bit extra to go underneath and get someone else open. And that's a good job there from Creighton and Shireman. But that was really like their last good look in this game. I really do not like this possession at all. We're 10 seconds into the shot clock. Kalkbrenner hasn't touched it. He's foul line extended at this point. But there's no need to rush. We got nearly 90 seconds, and it's a one-possession game. We need a good look here. We get a give and go for Nemhard, and I just don't like this possession because we got the best player on the court, number 11, 30 feet from the hoop, and he never got a single touch. To me, Creighton's got to be running their offense through him on this possession. Now, I know that if this shot goes in and Creighton ties it up and goes on to win, it's obviously a much different story. But that's not the way it goes. And to me, Kalkbrenner, you have to find him going to the rim. You have to get something to get him initiating offense so that he can either get a look at the rim or he can get someone else open who's cutting as he's trying to get his look. Just sort of poor execution towards the end here from San Diego State, or from Creighton rather. And San Diego State holds on in a nail-biter. So now moving on into this Miami second-half comeback. Main thing I really love about Miami is that this team never gets down when they're out, never gets out when they're down. And their body language, especially Isaiah Wong, is just like they're mentally tough, and you can see it in the way that they play. In the first half, they kind of felt like this is sort of like the opposite game of the Creighton-San Diego State game, where in that game you're kind of passing up on good looks to get great looks. But in this game, you're taking any look that you can because it feels like it's sort of a race to 80 and guys are just hitting shots. Both teams were over like 60%, I think, from the field in the first half. And just a lot of shots making, a lot of pace to this game. But Miami starts this comeback basically by playing D. And I've talked about how important individual defensive possessions are going to be late in games and what you can do mano-a-mano to stop the man in front of you. And Miami does a good enough job, whereas Texas, you'll see they get lazy and they kind of lag off towards the end. Like Miami, I've said it a couple times this year, they're a one-on-one sort of team. They like to run in transition, but they don't depend on assists, I guess, if that makes sense. They got a lot of guys who can get to the cup. I just love their mental toughness, especially it's hard when you're down 10 points in the second half to keep shooting, keep taking shots. But this Miami team, they got some grit to them, I'll tell you that. And I'll share this with the YouTube page. I've told my baseball group, my freshman baseball team, that we have like a sort of 7 promises that we're going to go over before every game. Just promises that we make to each other, reminding ourselves of our commitment and our purpose. And that's something I copied from Jim Larinaga and the Miami head coach. Jim Larinaga is one of 15 coaches in D1 across basketball, D1 history to have over 700 wins. And he's also one of only 3 to make it, to get 100 or more wins at 3 different D1 schools. I don't know how many different coaches have made it to the Final Four with 2 different schools, but Larinaga also now joins that category with this win because he was there in 2006 with George Mason. But basically what I was saying is he makes his guys recite a State of the U address, which is 7 principles to play by before every game. And they all say them out loud to each other and promise that they will commit themselves to that sort of winning mentality and that cycle of winning and doing everything you can to make the guy next to you better. And that's something I shared with my baseball team. And I think it's a big reason why this team is so mentally tough. And they were able to come back in this one and get their way to a Final Four, get their way to Houston. So the comeback starts right here at 14:02. They're down 13, 14:02 to play, and it's just a quick inbound for Jordan Miller. Miami starts getting easy looks at the rim. They start, getting to the cup, finishing at the rim, and it starts on the defensive end as well. Look, Nigel Pack staying in front. They're up in the passing lanes. They're there to rebound. That one goes in, but it's great defensive possession here from them. Nigel Pack really doing everything he can to stay in front of Marcus Carr. Tyrese Hunter, he just gets it to go. So this next one, we get a look, like I said, we get a layup look. It just gets blocked by Mitchell. Good job coming over to make a block. But look at Miami. We got 3 guys getting on the court to get this loose ball. 5 guys in total, but 3 in black. And they get rewarded with getting the jump ball on the possession arrow. And then off this inbound, it's Wooga Poplar, who had a huge mark on this one. He did a lot late in that first half. I think he had 7 points in the last 10 minutes of the first half, and he came out and got a couple more buckets here in the second half. Not really a guy that usually puts up double-digit scoring numbers, usually more of a defensive-minded threat, but Wooga Poplar doing a lot in this game to put his stamp on it. And look at the way Miami just gets out and runs in this second half. It's like they won't be denied coming back from this game. Just back to this coast-to-coast fast break for Joseph real quick. Look at his eyes. So he gets out and runs, and we just beat, there's no one that's getting back in the paint for Texas. And that's a big storyline in the rest of this game, is the fact that Miami is able to just get to the cup like this at will, and Texas doesn't really do anything on them. That individual defensive possession, major key to the game. They really don't. They come up short in that aspect of the game. So at 8:30, look, Wong, he never put his head down. He's got his eyes up, and he's going to get to his spot and hit tough shots. He goes on a little spurt here of hitting tough shots. Here's another one. Getting to his spot, middle of the court. Tough shot, falling away. He's got one more. He does it one more time right here. Going on Marcus Carr, getting to his spot and hitting another tough shot. Meanwhile, we got a long rebound on this one, and Texas refuses to get back again. Omir's got his eyes up, and Pack is able to finish it on the other end. Easy layup. This time it's Wong again, working the middle of the court. And like I said, this team only had 11 assists, but they get 2 big ones right there. From Omir to Pack down the court, and then Wong to Omir right there. The game's tied up, and Miami's got a chance to take the lead. Just to back up to that last possession real quick with Wong and Omir. So it starts off with a pretty elevated ball screen right here. You can see how far Wong is getting this screen from Omir. It's a couple steps outside the 3-point line. And Marcus Carr decides to go over it, which I think is the wrong call on this play. You got Christian Bishop, who's out here on the 3-point line nearly, and he's pretty much taken Wong. They've gone for the switch almost because Marcus Carr is pretty beat here. He's still trying to work back in front, and that's why Omir is left open underneath. If Carr instead, Bishop is pretty much forcing Wong if he's going to pull up to hit like a 40-plus foot 3-point look. And when that's the case, Marcus Carr can go under this screen and try and just get back in front as soon as possible. He doesn't have to go over this because he's got his teammate Christian Bishop here out on the 3-point line, forcing Wong to hit a deep 3 if he wants to. What Marcus Carr should do is go underneath the screen and just try and get back in front of Wong as soon as he can. But because he's a half a second late doing that, Bishop is forced to wait here half a second longer, and now he's playing 2, and Wong is just reading him. He's able to get it up over the defender, and So another thing about Miami is that they're undersized as well. So I think that San Diego State-Miami sort of matchup would really just be a really fun game to watch. So we're going to see that nothing comes easy here for Texas down the stretch. Miami is staying in front, and this is a good pump fake here from Rice. He notices that Wong is pretty much still flying out towards him, and he's able to go right around. But look at Omier contesting, and he gets a good contest, forces Rice to hit a tough shot. Again, it's Wong using his feet to stay in front. Does good enough job to force a tough shot from Carr. Carr just gets it to go. He gets it to go. Enough job to stay in front. Carr's just able to get a little bit more separation, get his shoulders squared, and get a look at the hoop. I have a lot of questions about Wong on the defensive end. He kind of looks like he's moving underwater a little bit. It's Wong again using his feet to stay in front. This time, Norchad Omier comes over and puts two hands on the basketball and just rips it out. But I like Carr being assertive with the ball here, and I think he was the guy that we wanted with the ball in his hands. Wong doing a good job staying in front and just buying enough time for my teammate Norchad Omier to come over and get two hands on the basketball and strip it out like you're taking it from a running back. Makes the game-clinching play right here pretty much. Poplar gets out in transition, and they end up hitting two shots. Meanwhile, Miami, the only thing I'll say on this last possession is it's good recognition to know who we're letting beat us and who we're not letting beat us. Tyrese Hunter, Marcus Carr, Sir'Jabari Rice, Timmy Allen are all much better offensive threats than Brock Cunningham. So I'm living with Brock Cunningham taking that shot all day long when we're up by 4 with 30 seconds to go. It's a good job of being up in these passing lanes. We can see that Wooga Poplar, like I said, defensive-minded guy, he pretty much cuts off Sir'Jabari Rice from getting the ball. Wong is up in this passing lane enough to where it's not really a threat. And Omier is doing enough down here so that Timmy Allen isn't able to come make a play. So the ball goes to Cunningham, and Miller is trying to force him to go baseline, I guess. Miller, kind of like a poor closeout, really. He doesn't do that well of a job to stay in front. Cunningham is able to go right around. But look at Omier. Omier knows that Allen's right behind him, and Allen is a much better threat. So Omier stays down. He doesn't even really contest this shot. He said, I'm letting Brock Cunningham beat us. I'm not letting Timmy Allen get this offensive rebound and put it back in and beat us that way. So good job there. I think Omier staying down really right here is a really important play that he makes. And Miller's able to come up with the ball, and Miami advances to the Final Four. So, like I said, I really hope it ends up being Miami and San Diego State in the final. I just think that would be such a good matchup. The FAU San Diego State game going to come down to Vlad Golden, I think, and what those guards can do to get past the San Diego State. On, like, I was talking about being off the ball. So you make a pass, and then you know that your guy is going to jump off you and be helping a lot to dig because that's just how San Diego State plays. And I have full confidence that FAU's coaches are going to scout them well and prepare their guys for that. I would expect to see a lot of backdoor cuts. FAU is not going to put up 79 points per game or points in that game, which is what they've been doing in the tournament so far. They're going to have to find other ways to get easy looks, do a lot of things that Creighton did, take a page out of the San Diego State playbook to try and get easy looks versus that real tough, tight defense for the Aztecs. And in the other game, Miami versus UConn, like I said, Miami undersized in that one. UConn's got Sonogo down low. They got a couple other guys who stretch the floor that are bigger. Going to be a difficult matchup for the Hurricanes in that one. I think UConn has a chance to really walk away with it, and if Miami doesn't come out. But Miami's got that mental toughness aspect, and they're going to show up ready to play. I would not count them out of that game. Obviously, it's the Final Four. You can't count anyone out. But I would really love to see Miami and San Diego State. That's what I'm hoping for in the Final Four. But hopefully you guys are able to see a little bit. You understand more of like why those teams won, why San Diego State was able to kind of pull away there at the end in that defensive tight game, and why Miami was sort of able to come back in this one. Just laziness from Texas and the ability to get to the rim at will and not being denied once you do get there. Yeah. So stay tuned for more on Coach Co's B-Ball breakdowns. I appreciate y'all tuning in and enjoy the Final Four. Keep watching, keep playing, keep loving, keep learning.